All right, welcome everybody. It's almost going to say good morning, but it is the afternoon. Very excited for our webinar today. We've been offering these mostly every Fridays. After today's, we are going to pivot and start offering them Tuesday evenings based on our popular Facebook polls. But today we are going to have Joanna Raymond from URI SNAP Education. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We're going to have her get started with family-friendly fruit and veggie recipes. In just a few minutes, I'm just going to do a couple of housekeeping. And for those of you that don't know, my name is Sejal Lanterman, and I work for URI Cooperative Extension. So Joanna is my colleague up at our sister site in Providence. And we are very excited about this webinar that we'll just get started. So Joanna, if you don't mind advancing to the next slide.
Sure.
Great. So just a little bit about cooperative extension and how we just work on our focus areas. We basically are the land grant of the University of Rhode Island. There's land grants in every state throughout the country. And we're basically charged with bringing the research and the knowledge to the community. So we do that in so many different ways and organize our work into various focus areas, including land stewardship, food systems and agriculture, water resources, energy, efficiency, conservation and renewables, and healthy lifestyles. If you want to learn more about what programs fall underneath each one of those strategic area of focus, you can just simply visit our website and be connected to a whole plethora of individual programs from Cooperative Extension. All right, next slide. All right, so just a few guiding principles. So our first one is that we are dedicated to Rhode Island's people and their communities. We are committed to improving their quality of life, their livelihoods, and the health of our natural environment. We also believe in social justice. Collectively, we strive to deepen our cultural understanding and proficiency while building capacity to create inclusive experiences to address diverse stakeholder needs. And we're really proud that since the beginning of this pandemic, we've been able to pivot and go from, offering a whole bunch of in-person services to this experience that we're all having right now and bringing them online. Next slide, please. All right, a few housekeeping notes. Following this webinar, you'll get an email and it has a very brief survey. And honestly, we have team meetings and we read every single one. And it really helps us to figure out what we're doing well and where we can improve. So please just take a minute if you don't mind filling that out. We also are really excited about our YouTube channel and that all of these webinars, if you have to leave short today or if you've missed any of our previous ones, we've recorded every single one and they're all found on our YouTube channel. And there's also closed captioning, so you don't even have to watch them with the sound on. So that's really exciting. And maybe some of you are watching here on after. Let's see, I think I've already mentioned the Q&A, but if you have questions throughout this presentation, you can just type them into the Q&A. I'll do my best to monitor them. And then when we're all done with the webinar, we will ask Joanna some of your questions. Oh, yep, just one more forward. All right, without further ado, I'm very pleased to introduce you to Joanna Raymond, who is the Community Nutrition Educator at URI SNAP Ed, again, stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Joanna completed her Bachelor of Science degree in Nutrition and Dietetics in 2012, along with her Master's in Nutrition and Food Sciences in 2012, both at URI. Go Rams, got my URI shirt on today. And we're really excited. Joanna can be found teaching in various school districts throughout the state, along with adult education sites and farmers markets and food pantries and more. Really excited, Joanna. And of course, like I said, this is during lunch. We're all going to be starving after here. And I know you and I both have kids, and I'm really excited to learn how to get them to eat just that much better. So thanks, Joanna. The show is all yours.
Awesome. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Sejal, thank you for the very nice introduction. So yes, it is lunchtime. We're going to be talking about food. I completely understand if you want to make this a lunch and learn and listen as you enjoy your delicious lunch. So as Sejal mentioned, I work for the SNAP Education Program. And before I get started, I just wanted to share with you all just a little bit about what we do in the community. So URI SNAP Ed Who are we? We are funded by the USDA to provide nutrition education in the community. We work in schools, we work in food pantries, we work in daycares, we work in senior centers, Head Start programs, and all different community-based agencies and organizations to help improve eating habits and food environments for Rhode Islanders. So here we have are two of my colleagues at the East Bay Food Pantry doing a cooking demo and providing some nutrition education. We also work with various partners that work with our SNAP Ed audience in various school districts. So here are two colleagues working with Sodexo, the food service company in Providence, helping to guide them on food choices and how they can meet the nutrition requirements through the USDA. We are also found at farmers markets. So here's my colleague, and this actually picture is current. The prior two pictures were before COVID. But you'll see Mary here at a farmer's market. And normally we do cooking demonstrations for families at farmers markets. Unfortunately, during this time, due to food safety, we're not allowed to do cooking demonstrations, but we still provide tons of nutrition education and also links to our various social media platforms and our website, which I'll be walking you through today to access healthy recipes at your fingertips. And to the right, we just have some attendees from the market actually last night who spoke with my colleague Fatima on healthy food choices, and they were given a prize of a fruit smile selfie stick. So they were enjoying those. So also this summer has been quite different in how we do our education. So just like today, they've been virtual. So we've done a lot of our adult education groups via Zoom or WebEx, just so we can kind of spread the word. And we know that healthy eating is important now more than ever. So that's just a sneak peek at one of our workshops. And also we work in the community at a lot of summer camps and summer meal sites. And since we can't be there in person, we've created a lot of enrichment kits with nutrition education handouts that actually can be found on our website. So if you're curious about some of these handouts, you can peruse our website later on to find some various educational tools for your family. And lastly, we started developing virtual newsletters that we also do send in the mail as well. But just to kind of keep our audience up to date, this is a particular newsletter that we've shared with our daycare audience on making snacks and meal times fun, and it's actually very appropriate for our discussion today. So I've pulled some information from here as well. So before we get started diving into fruits and vegetables and various fruit and vegetable recipes, I wanted to take some time to review the MyPlates. So this may be brand new to you, and that's okay. The MyPlate replaced the My Pyramid back in 2011 with Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. And this was created as a healthy eating guide that might be a little bit easier to understand than the pyramid. So you'll notice on the plate, there are 5 food groups. Today, we're going to be focusing on the 2 most important food groups, which are our fruits and vegetables. You'll notice that the fruit and vegetable group fill up half of the plate. So it's really important to try to include fruits and vegetables at our meals and snacks throughout the day. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that today. But why are fruits and vegetables so important? Well, they provide us with vitamins and minerals. They also provide us with fiber. And fiber is helpful for us because not only does it help to keep us full and prevent us from snacking on foods that maybe aren't as healthy, but it also helps to move food through our body. So it can get rid of things in our body that maybe don't necessarily need to be there. So you'll notice I have a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables pictured here. And on our next slide, I'm going to discuss the importance of all those different colors. So again, the 2 most important food groups are our fruits and vegetables. You'll also see the grains group on the MyPlates, and grains include cereal, pasta, bread, bagels. They really provide our bodies with the healthy carbohydrates that we need, the energy that our brain needs to work properly, the energy that we need to do daily activities in addition to exercising throughout the day. And when it comes to grains, it's really important to choose whole grains. So things like whole grain bread or crackers or whole grain or whole wheat pasta. The term whole grain and whole wheat can be interchangeable, just as long as whenever you look at the food or the product and the first ingredient says whole, you're making a great choice. Other examples of whole grains include oatmeal, popcorn, brown rice. Some of you may even be familiar with quinoa, and I'm actually going to show a recipe video later that uses quinoa in case you're familiar with that particular ingredient. The next food group on the plate is our protein group, and our protein group provides the nutrients we need for healthy muscles, but also for healthy cells and various building blocks in our body. But the healthiest choices from the protein group include lean meats, poultry, things like chicken, turkey, fish, beans, eggs, nuts, seeds, and soy products. But very important to choose those products that are lean or lower in fats. And lastly, we have our dairy group. So our dairy group consists of milk, cheese, and yogurt, with the healthiest choices being low fat or fat-free products. And the dairy group provides our body with calcium and vitamin D, which is great for our bones, also provides some protein as well. Some of you out there might be lactose intolerant, meaning you can't drink regular milk because it just doesn't make you feel good. Maybe you react to it differently. So milk alternatives such as almond milk, soy milk, rice milk, coconut milk, there's so many different milks out there. Those are great too. You just want to make sure that they're fortified or that they have added calcium and vitamin D, so you can still get the nutrients that you would be getting from regular dairy products. But also be mindful that that you don't choose the flavored ones very often, because flavored milks like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, coffee, Rhode Island staple coffee milk, typically have added sugar. So we don't want to consume all the extra added sugar throughout the day. We are getting some really healthy natural sugar in the form of lactose from milk, but not necessary to consume the extra added sugar with the flavored milks. So that is our MyPlate. And in addition to our MyPlate, being healthy is really an equation of healthy eating, but also exercise. So one of the other MyPlate guidelines is that children exercise at least 60 minutes a day and adults exercise at least 30 minutes a day. So that is the MyPlate, in case you haven't been familiar with it before. And again, on our plate, there are 5 food groups. No, you don't have to stress yourself out and try to fit all 5 food groups into every meal. It's important to try to include at least 3 of the 5 food groups at your meals and at least 2 food groups at your snacks. And I'm going to show you some creative ways to do that for yourself, for your children, for your family in just a few slides. So going back to a variety of colors. So why is it important to eat all different colored fruits and vegetables? Well, because they help our bodies in different ways. So I'm going to use my friend here to demonstrate that. So blue and purple fruits and vegetables give our bodies brain power. They help us to learn and remember. Studies have shown that there is definitely a correlation between eating blueberries or other blue and purple fruits and vegetables to help diminish the likelihood that someone could get early onset dementia. So blue and purple fruits and vegetables definitely help with our brain function and retaining information. Then we have our orange and yellow fruits and vegetables, which help keep our eyes healthy and our skin glowing. Many orange and yellow fruits and vegetables, such as carrots, contain vitamin A, and vitamin A helps our eyesight and our eye health. Some orange and yellow fruits and vegetables also contain vitamin C, and vitamin C is great for our immune system or helping to fight off disease. And especially during this time, we want to try to boost our vitamin C using various foods, and orange and yellow fruits and vegetables, even some red and green, can do that for you as well. Red fruits and vegetables keep our heart strong. So an example here, I have apples, peppers, strawberries, tomatoes would also be a great example. Green fruits and vegetables help to move food through your body for a healthy stomach. So many green fruits and vegetables are very fibrous or full of fiber. So those types of foods push the foods through our body to help us go to the bathroom and keep us healthy. They also, the fiber in the green fruits and vegetables also helps to keep us full. And lastly, brown, tan, and white fruits and vegetables keep your muscles strong and your body safe from germs. So again, things like potatoes. And yes, bananas are actually a white fruit. You might be thinking, no, they're yellow, but we don't actually eat the yellow part of the banana. So we want to refer to the color of the part that we actually eat. So potatoes, bananas, garlic, onion, mushrooms, those will help to fight off germs and be useful for our immunity as well. So now we know it's important to eat a variety of color, but you might just be thinking, well, okay, fruits and vegetables are healthy for me, but how much should I be eating? So let's talk about that for a minute. So according to choosemyplate.gov, the amount of fruits and vegetables that someone needs is really dependent upon their age, their gender, and also their activity level. So we're going to speak generally today. And since we're talking about our family, I wanted to first focus on children. So children up through elementary school. So let's say maybe 9 or 10 years old. They need at least 2 cups of fruit and at least 2 cups of vegetables. But I really want to talk about this term here, at least. So at least is a minimum. So that means you can definitely have more. As we saw on the MyPlate, fruits and vegetables are 2 of the healthiest food groups for us. They're also low in calories, but high in fiber. So it's really not going to provide us with a lot of those, we call them empty calories. So energy that's coming into our body that's not serving a purpose. It's the exact opposite. They definitely serve a purpose and they have fewer calories. So when it comes to second helpings, in general, it's a good idea to encourage second helpings of fruits and vegetables instead of second helpings of grains, protein, or dairy. So if your child enjoys fruits or vegetables, they could definitely have more than 2 cups of each. And we'll see in the next slide how to incorporate fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Most of the time, it's really hard to get up to that 2 cups of fruits and vegetables. So that is our minimum number. When it comes to middle school and older, all the way through adulthood, we recommend at least 2 cups of fruit and at least 3 cups of vegetables. So a little bit more. So as kids age and they get older, going through a growth spurt, going through puberty, they require some more nutrients. And fruits and vegetables, as we've already heard, provide so many nutrients. So when it comes to measuring our fruits and vegetables, what really counts as a cup? So let's talk about our fruit group first. So hopefully you have measuring cups at home. If you don't, that's okay. You can use your fist as an example or an estimate to measure. You could use household items like a baseball or a tennis ball to measure 1 cup. So when it comes to fresh fruit, so let's talk about a piece of fresh fruit. Generally, it's about 1 piece of fruit that would equal 1 cup. So for example, a small banana or apple or orange. So that would count as 1 cup of fruit. When we think about smaller pieces, and Sejal was referring to grapes earlier. So it's about, and I know this number is random, but it's about 32 grapes that fit in a cup. But again, it depends on the size of the grapes. So when in doubt, have a measuring cup handy if possible, or fist, or if you have baseball or tennis ball handy, that would be equivalent to 1 cup. But there are all different types of grapes out there. Some are really large, some are really small. So it's just an estimate. Same with strawberries. Locally grown strawberries, if anyone was able to have the opportunity to go strawberry picking, typically they're smaller. Strawberries in the grocery store might be larger. So it's about 8 strawberries that would equal 1 cup. A cup of chopped fruit, any variety of fruit that you like to eat would count as a cup. Let's talk about dried fruit for a second. So dried fruits like raisins or craisins or apricots. So when you dehydrate fruit, you remove the liquid. So it's a more concentrated amount, or all of that very healthy, delicious, natural sugar that we find in fruit becomes more concentrated. So the caloric value increases. So there's going to be more calories. So it's actually a half a cup of dried fruit would be equivalent to a 1 cup serving of fruit. So if you were to measure out a half a cup of raisins, add it to trail mix or cereal, that could count as 1 cup of fruits. Okay. And then lastly, 1 cup or 8 fluid ounces of 100% juice could count as a cup of fruit. And when we talk about juice, juice is very healthy for us. It comes from the fruit. It has natural sugar. It has the vitamins or minerals. The one thing about juice is it usually lacks the fiber that we could get from the actual fruit itself. So first and foremost, your best bet would be to have the actual fruit. But if you love to start your morning with a fresh glass of orange juice or maybe a half a glass of orange juice, that could work as well. 100% juice is very healthy as long as really the only ingredient in that juice is the fruits. So if you start to see various fruit juices that or juice drinks that have added sugar in the form of high fructose corn syrup or any added sugar, that is less healthy than your 100% juice. So that's an example of what counts as a cup of fruit. If we think about vegetables, some of our equivalents get a little tricky, so I want to explain those. So 1 cup of raw or cooked veggies is 1 cup of vegetables. So notice here we have some delicious looking broccoli or crunchy green beans, maybe from a garden, a local farmer's market, or the grocery store. Again, 12 baby carrots. This depends on the size of the baby carrot. So if fist, baseball, or cup handy, you can measure out the amount of baby carrots. 1 large sweet potato or plain potato is equivalent to 1 cup of vegetables. Notice how the skin is still on this picture. So the skin of our fruits and vegetables is where most of the fiber is found and a lot of the nutrients. So it's really important to try your hardest to keep the skin on the fruits and vegetables that you eat. And before eating them or cooking them, just be sure to scrub them really well to get any dirt out of crevices or anything like that. Now, bear with me for a second. So when we talk about leafy greens, so things like spinach or salad, they usually take up a large space or a large volume. So a 1 cup equivalent of vegetables would actually be 2 cups of leafy greens. So let's say you took 2 handfuls, obviously with clean hands, of salad, of mixed greens or leafy greens, or maybe kale from a garden, and you plopped it on a plate. So 2 handfuls would be equivalent to 1 cup of vegetables. And we'll see that in an example in the next slide. And then lastly, same with our fruit juice, 1 cup or 8 fluid ounces of 100% vegetable juice would be equivalent to 1 cup of juice. And same thing here, a lot of companies will market like veggie juice blends that could contain some added sugar. So when in doubt, just look at the ingredients list, and your healthiest option is always going to be a fruit juice or a vegetable juice that only contains the fruit or vegetable. Okay. So going back to 2 cups of fruits and 2 to 3 cups of vegetables, that can sound overwhelming. That can sound like a lot. So I wanted to show you kind of an example menu. So how can we add fruits and vegetables to our day? So normally we would do this activity out in the community with a board and some pictures of fruits and vegetables. So we're going to do our best here. But let's say, for example, we have some meals for the day, maybe a sample menu that you developed that maybe your kids contributed to or something like that. So here we have a cup of cereal in the morning, ideally whole grain cereal because we want to make half of our grains throughout the day whole. Perhaps a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, maybe some fresh jam from Sagel's garden with whole wheat bread, maybe a vegetable dip or a hummus, and some pasta with meatballs and sauce. So you'll notice these meals kind of look a little bland. They're all that same tan, brownish color, maybe a little red in there. But how can we add color? How can we add variety? That's what fruits and vegetables do. So thinking about our cereal in the morning, we could add maybe a cup of blueberries, maybe raspberries, maybe strawberries, whatever your preference is. Now, those could be fresh blueberries from the farm, they could be from the grocery store, they could be frozen. Frozen fruits and vegetables are just as healthy as fresh. And one of the benefits is they last longer. So if you were to get some berries from, you went blueberry picking and you didn't freeze them, they're on your counter, they're not looking so appetizing. Maybe you don't want to eat them anymore. With frozen fruit, that doesn't happen because it's already been preserved. It's been picked at its freshest peak, and then it's been frozen. So you can just take it out of the freezer and use it whenever you're ready for it. Another really great thing is that frozen fruits, when you thaw them out, the juice comes out. So that adds some more naturally, a natural sweetness to your cereal or yogurt, whatever you're having it with. So fresh or frozen, doesn't matter. Both are going to be really great options for you. So as you'll see at the bottom, so far we have 1 cup of fruit. We've reached 1 cup of fruit already with our breakfast. Okay. Then maybe at lunchtime with your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you might have a cut up apple or maybe a whole apple on the side. So right there at breakfast and lunch, we've already reached our 2 cups of fruit. So this is where we'd advise families to say that's great that your child loves to eat fruit, but before we add on more fruit, let's try to find some vegetables that would work out. So maybe it's a matter of having a cup of baby carrots on the side as well. Another option, and this is actually one of the recipes found on our website, we call it a rock and roll up. So not necessarily with peanut butter and jelly, but maybe with turkey or with hummus. You can make a sandwich and put in sliced cucumbers or carrot sticks or even apples, some fruits or vegetables to make it crunchy and add that texture. And I know texture could be an issue for some children as well. So in a few slides from now, we'll talk about texture too. So with breakfast and lunch, we have our 2 cups of fruit and our 1 cup of veggies. Now it's snack time. Maybe your child or your kids have a favorite vegetable dip that they like to eat. Ask them, what kind of veggies or what kind of colors do we want to see today? So here's just an example of cutting up some cucumbers and peppers to create 1 cup of vegetables to dip into our hummus. So these could be vegetables from the store, from our farmer's market, or maybe from your backyard. Maybe there's some vegetables that you're growing. So here we have our 2 cups of fruit and 2 cups of veggies. We reached our goal of at least 2 plus 2 for elementary school aged. If you have older children or you're an adult, there's still another meal to come. So with dinner, we could add some more color, maybe a half a cup of strawberries on the side as a dessert that's naturally sweet. And what we had mentioned earlier, let's say I have 1 handful of salad or 1 cup of salad, that would be equivalent to a half cup serving of vegetables. So right here, we have 3 meals and a snack, and we've reached our 2.5 cups of fruit and 2.5 cups of veggie goal. Now, you also might be thinking, I don't eat that much throughout the day. And studies have shown that the best way to curb our hunger or control our appetite is to eat 3 meals and maybe 1 to even 3 small snacks a day. So this is just an example of 3 meals and 1 snack. If you're someone that maybe just doesn't eat that as much or as often, and 2 plus 3 seems like a goal that's way too high, just try to throw in some fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Maybe you usually have cereal without a fruit or vegetable. Just try adding in some fruit to that cereal. Or maybe you like to eat eggs in the morning. Maybe try throwing in some veggies into those eggs. So just an example here. And when talking about family and preparing meals, one of the foolproof ways to get kids to eat their fruits and vegetables is to include them in the meal planning process. And ask them, what do you want to see for lunch or dinner, or what can we have on hand for snacks that's going to be really easy to eat and convenient. And especially during this time of being home more often, a lot of parents have expressed to me that my child is grazing and eating throughout the day and eating way too much. But in fact, snacks really serve a purpose and they're very important for us. And they're also a great opportunity to add in fruits and vegetables. So one activity I want to show you right now is something we call the At Snack Time Pick 2 board. And with this particular activity, we really like to emphasize the importance of at snack time or what makes a healthy snack. So when you think of snacks, you might be thinking of chips or cookies or something like that. But snacks actually um, provide us an opportunity to refuel our body, prevent our hunger between meals, and provide an opportunity to give our body nutrients. So one of the best ways to give our body nutrients is to provide at least 2 food groups in our snacks. And no better way to get nutrients than to make one of those food groups a fruit or a vegetable. Okay? So what is a healthy snack? Let's talk about that for a minute. So a healthy snack is low in added sugar and salt. So when we think of added sugar, we think of granulated sugar, something that comes in a bag or a box or a sugar packet. But that our healthy snacks are low in added sugar and low in salt, packed with nutrients, and have at least 2 food groups. So I wanted to highlight some snack examples that we actually have recipes for on our website. So here we have some mixed berries. And again, as I mentioned, fresh, frozen, doesn't matter. And let's say we mix it in with some low-fat yogurts. Now, what I had mentioned earlier in terms of our milk, our dairy products, we want to make sure there's no added sugar in those dairy products. So choosing a plain yogurt and adding your own fruit, not only is it going to make it taste a little sweeter with those natural sugars, but it's also going to be healthy for you than having the yogurt with the added sugar. So right there, we have 2 food groups. That's a great start. But if you want to go ahead and add some cereal or some granola or oats, you could make a really delicious yogurt parfait. So that could count as a snack. It could also count as a meal, technically, because it has at least 3 food groups in it. So it looks super appetizing, also very healthy because it's low in added sugar. And also one thing to note as well, if you're a granola fan, granola is really great for us. It provides us with a lot of fiber, but it can be a hidden source of added sugar. So we actually on our website, I believe, have a banana nut granola recipe. And bananas are the form of sugar as well as the binder in the recipe. So there's no added sugar needed. Snack. We have our raisins from earlier. And remember, I mentioned half a cup of raisins is equivalent to 1 cup of fruits. We could mix that with some pretzels and some sunflower seeds. And you might be looking at this saying, wait a minute, I thought we said low in added salt. So you can pick and choose here. Maybe you purchase nuts or seeds that have no added salt, or maybe you purchase pretzels that have no added salt. So again, it's balance. And trail mix actually is a really cool recipe because your children can choose the ingredients. Hey, we're going to make some trail mix this week to keep us energized, keep us from feeling full in between our meals. Maybe if you're doing some distance learning at home, you want to have some healthy snacks on hand, but ask them what they want to see in their trail mix. Oftentimes trail mix at the grocery store might have M&Ms or chocolate chips added to them. If they want to add those in, they could, but you can control the amount. So maybe it's just a teaspoon of that added in. And lastly, we haven't really looked at veggies so far in a snack. So I wanted to highlight our tropical salsa recipe. So in our tropical salsa recipe, we have some, and I apologize, that picture's so tiny, but we have some cans. We have diced pineapple and peaches. They could come from a can, or they could be fresh, or they could be frozen, mixed with some cucumbers and actually red onions and cilantro, with some black beans. So we have 3 food groups there so far in our tropical salsa. And then you can dip in some whole grain tortilla chips. So again, another great snack to have on hand. Technically, it has 4 food groups, so could be considered a meal as well. So this is our tropical salsa recipe. So I hope this helps to make a little more sense about what I mean by a healthy snack, and also inspires you with some recipes. But if that's not enough, on our website, we have this handout called Quick and Healthy Snacks to Pack. And this one is actually geared towards preschool age. So the options are a little bit limited, but we do have this handout as well for elementary school aged with some more ideas on it. I did just want to highlight our recipe for hummus dip, as we saw in the fruit and veggie add-in activity. You can make your own hummus dip. You don't have to purchase it at the grocery store, and you can decide, what your palate is telling you it wants that day. So if you want something a little spicy, Maybe you add in some red pepper flakes or maybe some hot sauce. This is a very traditional recipe with just chickpeas, lemon juice, olive oil, a little bit of salt, and some fresh herbs or spices from the garden or farmers markets. And the beans, you can purchase those in a can, or maybe you like to soak your beans and prepare them yourself and boil them. That's an option as well. And then we just have a sample recipe for trail mix. So making snacks fun. For those of you with kiddos at home that, Joanna, these are all really great ideas, but I don't know if they're going to fly. So what can we do to get them involved in the kitchen? Well, number one, when making snacks fun, safety first. If kids are going to be in the kitchen, make sure that everybody's washing their hands for at least 20 seconds, singing happy birthday, twinkle, twinkle, little star, whatever you choose. So once we've washed our hands, what are some kid-friendly kitchen tasks that we can do to get kids involved in the kitchen? Number one, Sejal had mentioned a great example with the grapes, pulling the grapes off the vine, shredding lettuce, maybe mixing some salad ingredients into a salad bowl. Those are all great kid-friendly kitchen activities. Measuring out dry ingredients. Wet ingredients could get a little messy unless you have a kiddo who's really talented and really great with measuring. Go ahead, do the wet ingredients like milk, things like that. Also mixing or whisking an egg, cutting or spreading food on bread with a butter knife or a plastic knife, anything like that. So those are all really great ways to get your kids involved in the kitchen. In addition to giving kids an activity to do in the kitchen, you can turn snack time into art time. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can grab some cookie cutters. You can take some pieces of melon or various fruits or pieces of cheese or pieces of bread and turn them into various shapes and create some different caricatures. So that could be an option. Also, if it's during distance learning, it could be part of art class as well. So 2 in 1, you're eating a delicious, healthy snack and you're being artistic as well. Making your own popsicles. This is really trendy right now. There's tons of recipes online. You'll notice this image of popsicles. It kind of looks like something you buy at the grocery store, high in sugar. So what you can do is make your own popsicles at home using fresh fruits, using yogurt, whatever you have on hand. Again, they can be fresh or frozen. Dump everything in a blender and pour it right into your popsicle molds. Popsicle molds can be found at Job Lot. They can be found at Walmart, Target, Amazon. So plenty of options for that. Some recipes you'll notice might add honey. Honey is a great addition. It is sweet, but just know honey is a form of sugar. So just be sure to be aware of the amount that you are adding to your foods. So those are just some ways to make snacking fun. Now, a moment about tips for choosy eaters. If you're at home with young kiddos, Sejal and I were just discussing this before the webinar, but there might be times when your kids they liked one food yesterday and they don't like it today. That's totally normal. They're going to go through food jags like that, and that's okay. So just some tips to be mindful of if you feel like you do have a picky eater who's a child, maybe an adult, who knows, at home. First and foremost, be a healthy role model. So we're talking about getting our kids to eat fruits and veggies today. If we want them to eat fruits and veggies, we need to be modeling that behavior. So trying different fruits and vegetables together, maybe sharing experiences with your children about when you were a kid and you had to try fruits and vegetables and you were very fearful of that. Just as we mentioned before, kids are so much more likely to eat a food if they're involved in the preparing or the planning process, maybe even the growing process. So if you're fortunate enough to have a garden in your backyard, maybe at the beginning of the season or whenever you plan to plant the seeds, ask your child, what kind of fruits and veggies do you want to see in the backyard this year? So getting them involved, having them care for those fruits and vegetables, seeing the entire process happen is going to get them more interested in eating those fruits and vegetables. So at school gardens, we see the same thing. Offer only one new food at a time. So here our friend is eating some broccoli. It's best if it's the first time trying broccoli, offer it with carrots or cucumbers, something that your child already feels comfortable eating. Trying a new texture. So early on, I mentioned a recipe where adding in fruits and veggies into a sandwich to make it crunchy. Some kids don't like crunchy, and that's okay. trying a different texture. So it could be a matter of roasting, maybe shredding, maybe pureeing, trying all different types of textures of food as well. And most importantly, when it comes to trying fruits and vegetables, we need to try again. It can take more than 10 times of exposing a child to a fruit or vegetable until they're ready to try it or, actually like it. So don't get frustrated. Just continue to try eating those fruits and vegetables. So next, what I'd like to do is share our resources. So where can we find fruit and vegetable recipes? So our website, located at uri.edu/snaped, is our hub for healthy recipes as well as nutrition information. I'm going to run through this rather quickly, but feel free to visit our website if you want to do it right now while you're watching. You can do that, or you can do it after our call. No problem whatsoever. What I'm showing you right now is our current website. The really exciting news is we are actually in the process of launching a new website at the same address that should hopefully be ready to roll out within a month or so. And I will preview that in just a minute. But for now, I want to show you where where we house some of the handouts that I was referring to earlier. So we have some downloadable material in the form of handouts that we share with families, with caregivers, with teachers. But if we were to go to our parent caregiver section, you can scroll to see any topic you're interested in. But what I wanted to share with you was the handout I referred to earlier, Smart Snacks to Pack. And this one is the preschool version. So it summarizes what we talked about earlier. What is a snack? Why do we snack? What are some tips for purchasing items to snack on? And then it has listed those quick and healthy snacks to pack. So this is where we house all of our nutrition education handouts, as well as our recipes. So in terms of recipes, our recipes are broken up by category. So there's breakfast, main dishes, snacks, sides, soups, smoothies, even a slow cooker section, simple meals for one or two, or what we're really focusing on today is our kid-friendly recipes. And I have to tell you, I would say the majority, 9 times out of 10, our recipe is going to have at least a fruit or vegetable in it. So you can't go wrong. I had mentioned earlier about hummus or creamy ranch dip. So this particular recipe is our creamy ranch dip recipe, where you're mixing some yogurt and mayonnaise, herbs and spices, and serving it with any fruit or vegetable. And this is kind of like our go-to dip to serve to kids when we're experimenting new fruits and vegetables. You can also turn it into a dressing by adding just a little bit of milk to it to thin it out. So with all of our recipes, we provide the cost, the serving size information, the prep time, the cook time, in addition to the nutrition facts label. So if you're concerned with any particular nutrients, you can always find that attached to our recipes as well. And then in addition to kid-friendly recipes, as I mentioned earlier, we have more so breakfast dishes. Maybe you are having a really tough time thinking about how to incorporate fruits or vegetables into breakfast. One of these really great recipes that we have are our veggie egg bites. And it's kind of like a mini omelet in a muffin tin. So you and your kids can talk about different vegetables that you want to add to your veggie egg bites and add a little bit of cheese, salt, pepper, and garlic, and you're good to go. These freeze really well. So you could make maybe an extra batch and pull them out as needed whenever you need an easy grab and go recipe idea. So those are some recipes on our website. And what I wanted to do briefly was to just highlight what's to come. So in terms of the new website that is launching, this is what it will look like in terms of recipes. So 2 new features. Let's say, for example, you have some kale in your garden, okay, or you bought some kale at a farmer's market. You can type in the recipe and you can click on what looks tasty to you. So maybe weather's getting a little bit cooler, kale and sweet potato soup sounds really delicious. So you just click on the recipe. Everything is available in English and Spanish, both on our new website and our old websites. You can check it out right on here. follow as you go, or you can download the physical recipe itself. Yes, it looks a little bit different than our other recipes. Everything is condensed onto one page, but you can print it, add it to your recipe book. You can take it to you can make a screenshot, you can bookmark it so you can access it later. So that's something with our new website. And something else I wanted to show you as well, in addition to that feature, is you can find the meal type. So again, do we want it to be kid-friendly? Oh, so curly kale slaw might be a kid-friendly recipe, but if we removed that option and just submitted kid-friendly recipes, we come up with a majority of recipes with various ingredients. And again, as I mentioned, 9 times out of 10, it's going to involve a fruit or a vegetable. So you can check out our healthy recipes right at your fingertips on our website. And one other feature we have is our YouTube page. And this has become really, really popular. Sejal and I just watched a video earlier, and I'm going to play it again. You may not be able to hear the sound, and that's okay. It's really just some music in the background. Nobody's speaking over it. Thank you, Sejal. So recipes here, I mentioned, oh, skillet lasagna is quite delicious, but I did want to show you all that recipe for the quinoa recipe. So if we just go to view full playlist, that's where you can find all of our recipe videos, and we are in the process of uploading more. So in weeks to come, you'll start to see more. But in case you're not already hungry enough, I did want to show you a video for our Southwestern quinoa and black bean salad.
It's really great, Joanna, because you can watch it without even the sound.
Exactly.
Really great. And it really makes a recipe that sounds super fancy, like, oh, wait, that's doable.
For sure. So
I love all these clean videos you have.
And just so you know, on our YouTube page, everything is available in English and Spanish as well. So you'll be able to see that. Just something to mention with the quinoa salad. If you don't have quinoa, it doesn't have to be quinoa. It could be rice. It could be barley, whatever your grain of choice is. So any, visual learners in the audience today, the YouTube page might be better for you. So you can just watch the video. Really great for kids too. You can make it as part of a lesson, cooking lesson, where they can watch the video and follow along. So that's really everything I have for you today. I hope that you learned some new information and that you're ready to go with our resources. And then in terms of social media, we have quite a bit of social media handles as well. We have our Facebook and our Instagram page. So you can follow us, you can friend us, you can even tweet us or pin us on some of our social media handles. So I'm just going to leave this up on the screen in case anybody wants to write them down. So then that way you can search for us on Facebook and Instagram as well. We pretty much post at least 2 to 3 times throughout the week with various, I like to call them fruit or veggie holidays or special days to highlight avocado day or carrot day. And we'll have an appropriate recipe for that. But then also with more immediate things that might be happening, any change with SNAP benefits, we try to keep our audience up to date as soon as possible on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page. You can also call us. You can email us. My email address is right up here, as well as the link for our websites. So I guess, Sejal, do we want to open it up to questions? Do you want to finish up?
Yes, this has been really great. And yes, my stomach is growling, but I have really great ideas. And I am one that has used that website regularly. Like sometimes, like writer's block, like you get like like, oh, what am I going to cook today? What do I, and having those kids, especially my kids are like 11 now, to, they don't have a lot of screen time. So to be able to come in and do that with me, oh, let's look at some of these recipes, and they'll pick one out, and they're a little bit more engaged in the process. So I'm really excited for your new website, by the way. Yeah, really excited about that. And I am someone that is very like craft and art challenged at home. So the thought of like seeing that pancake little lion dude, like, that's what I need to do, is like incorporate art with my love of cooking and incorporating the kids in the kitchen. And so much of what you said about children being like picky eaters, like one day they eat something, one day the next, my great example is that when my child was your daughter's age or a little bit older, they loved avocado. They loved guacamole. They would eat it by the bucketful. And then all of a sudden it was like overnight, what happened? Like they will not eat this food anymore. We just took a pause. We didn't stress about it. And, every time we'd have it, we'd tell those stories. Like you said, oh, we remember when you were a baby and used to eat buckets. And now just this year, they're starting to eat guacamole and avocado. Right. So it does pivot. So, we did not get a lot of questions into the chat. I think you did such a great job sort of explaining everything out. It was so visual. We did have one person I wanted to confirm that a password or a user ID to use any of the web recipes on your website, that's not needed, right? That's
not needed. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So Joanna, this was great. I think I have a couple of closing slides. Yes. Just a reminder to those of you, if you're joining us for the first time, we have open applications for our awesome URI Master Gardener program. We'll be taking applications until November 1st. We anticipate doing a lot of remote training, if not all completely remote, but it's still going to be vibrant and awesome. And we're really excited about it. We're going into this whole new food strategy sort of focus area. So if you're someone that wants to learn more about gardening and teach others in the community, we have so many awesome volunteer projects, including so many things of what Joanna had mentioned today, working in schools and school gardens, growing food for food banks. So jump on that opportunity. We usually do fill all those slots. And one more slide forward to wrap it up. So for gardening questions or even making more connections to FNEP or SNP or anything that we were talking about today, or all of our cooperative extension programs, you can visit us at URI Cooperative Extension. We also have a lot of gardening resources. So if you're just gardening for the first time, like so many of us are, and you feel like you still have a lot to learn, we have things like this really great planting calendar, which helps decide, okay, am I supposed to start this tomato from directly seeded, or does it need to get a head start, with some light? When to plant kale again, we still have this window of opportunity to tuck some more seeds in. So things like a planting calendar. And if you have questions, of course, you can direct them to Joanna or Cooperative Extension in general, but we also have this fabulous gardening and environmental hotline. We can even set up a phone call if you prefer to talk to a person. And right now, our volunteers are still answering emails. So if you have a picture of a weed growing or a really interesting plant, you can take a picture and send it to them, and you'll get a response really quickly. And of course, all of those answers will be vetted in science, and that's what connects us back to Cooperative Extension. And again, our Learn at Home webinar series has been taking place since almost the beginning of the pandemic. Every single one of them has been recorded. You can access them at YouTube. This one will be available probably early next week. And from here on out, we will have our webinars every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. So past dinner time, not at lunch anymore. And again, if you have questions, there's our phone number to the main line. We're getting a lot of great feedback coming in to me privately and to the Q&A here. So thank you again, Joanna. We'd love to have you back, or any one of your colleagues. If you guys think of something, I'm sure I can think of a million different things that, oh my gosh, 45 minutes is just sometimes not enough. But thank you so much. And it was lovely to meet you virtually.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks. And thanks everyone for joining us. Hope to see you next Tuesday.